I just knew that I needed something else. All the stuff that I was doing previously wasn't working on the scales. I know how to lose that weight. I know it's about calorie deficit. Do you know what I mean? From my own experience, most of the battle with weight loss is in your head.
Hi, I'm Dr. Chris Winiger, the Medical Director at Dr.Online UK. Today we've got a treat for you. So I'm interviewing Joanne. She is one of our patients who's been on a weight loss journey. She's also an influencer on TikTok.
I felt awful all of the time. And I remember it was like a beacon of light. Something just went into my brain. You've got to stop this, Jo. I'll be honest, my brain said to me, I can't be bothered to be on a diet anymore. I feel like I've been dieting my whole life, like since I was 8 or 9. From my experience, the easy part is actually losing the weight once you're in that right mindset. The hard bit is maintaining it. I think the biggest tip that I could give anyone is to just...
So yeah, thanks so much for taking time to come and have a bit of a chat with us today. What we wanted to do today is sort of go through a little bit of your weight loss journey for the benefit of anyone who might be interested, the listeners out there, give a bit of an insight into, you know, what's happened through your weight loss journey, how you got there, and hopefully help people who are interested in kind of embarking on their own journey.
I was overweight as a child. Probably ate lots of processed foods and things like that. That's just when they were coming in, and, you know, my mum was working and it was easier, and it was seen as something really good for mums out there. Just stick all this stuff in the oven. So I started gaining weight when I was probably, to my mind, I would say 8. 8 is when a lot of things changed for me. And just continued to put on weight despite people putting me on slim fast as a child and
Really?
things like that. Yeah, I think that kind of affected me subconsciously, but I mean, that is what it is. And I got to a point when I was, I think, about 21 or 22, and I was like 21 stone. And I stayed there for quite a long time. And then one day, I think when my daughter was about 6 or 7, something just clicked into my head. I was like having backaches all the time. I had terrible acid reflux. I felt awful all of the time. And I remember it was like a beacon of light. Something just went into my brain. You've got to stop this, Jo. So I did. It was like a light bulb moment. I did. And I lost loads of weight. My biggest to my lowest weight, 8.5 stone.
Wow.
Not all in one go, because my brain doesn't really work like that. I have to do things in like small doses. But so I lost that over a period of a few years, gained a load back as well through pregnancies with my younger 2 children, lost that again.
And we do seem to see that quite a lot, obviously, with the yo-yo weight sometimes going on and then coming back. And it can be really difficult. You know, pregnancy can often be a period of time where, again, people put on weight and find it really a big challenge to sort of get it off.
It's hard because especially after you have a baby, your hormones are wild. You're getting no sleep. You're craving all the sugar. You're just looking for anything to give you a little bit of energy, I think. So, it is hard after you've had a baby to lose the weight. But
I can definitely empathise with that as well, with, you know, 2 young children and sleepless nights. And, you know, there is some evidence about cortisol and stress hormones that go up, and then people start to get a lot more hungry, and then they're craving food just to survive a lot of the time through those difficult periods of time.
Yeah, my husband definitely put on weight as well. Just like eating all the sugar together. But it's been a tough, it's been a battle. It's been a battle my whole life. But I did manage to maintain, after all the children and losing the weight and all of that, I did manage to maintain that 8.5 stone loss for a little while.
Okay.
And I would say probably about 3 years ago, I'll be honest, my brain said to me, I can't be bothered to be on a diet anymore. I feel like I've been dieting my whole life, like since I was 8 or 9 from having slim fast.
Did you find that was just kind of exhaustion of the constant dieting, or
just
the
thinking
yo-yos?
About it?
Yeah.
It was the thinking about it. For me, generally, as a human being, I find that thinking about things exhausts me more than anything else in the whole wide world. But I was just sick of thinking about it. So old habits started creeping back in around COVID, around lockdown. You know, we didn't have many things to give us pleasure during lockdown. So taco night Saturday it was, do you know what I mean? With all the sour cream,
Yeah.
followed by all the crisps and sweets. Anyway, gradually I put on, initially I was saying to myself, I put on 3 stone. I actually put on about 4 stone over the last 3 years. And every day I woke up beating myself up about the things that I'd eaten the day before.
And we see that a lot with patients, this kind of the motivation's there,
Yeah.
but it's implementing it, isn't it? It can be
Yeah.
so difficult because you've got so many, people have got busy lives.
Yeah.
There's so many other things that are in the background there which are holding people back. It's not to say that the desire's not there. And each day, as you say, people are really motivated to do it.
Yeah, today's going to be the day where I'm going to change everything and then go to bed and cannot stop thinking about, why did I do that? Why did I eat that? Completely beating myself up about all of that. And I was just on this like perpetual hamster cycle wheel of everything. Because I had been trying to lose weight as well. Then I'd lose interest and the scales weren't moving. It was frustrating me. Then self-sabotage, all the stuff.
Because it sounds like you had lost some weight up to, you'd had periods of weight loss,
Yeah.
but then it had crept back. Was that the main kind of problem that you'd found over time?
I always, like when I've spoke to people before about weight loss, actually, from my experience, the easy part is actually losing the weight once you're in that right mindset. The hard bit is maintaining it.
Yeah.
Because you've got to do that forever. And so I think that's where I got to that point where I can't bother to keep thinking, I can't bother to do this forever anymore. Stupid, really, looking back. But
I wouldn't say it's stupid though. You'd battled for many years with it, and it takes its toll over time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Especially when you're not seeing the scales move, as you said.
Well, I just knew that I needed something else. All the stuff that I was doing previously wasn't working on the scales. I know how to lose that weight. I know it's about calorie deficit. Do you know what I mean? And I just bit the bullet. I was a bit worried about like what my husband would say about the cost and things like that. But I was just like, I've got to do this for me because
Something for yourself, yeah.
I've got to do it. I've got to do it because this actually isn't me. The way I'm eating isn't me. And it's been an absolute game changer. Absolute game changer. Not just losing the weight that I've lost so far, but the fact that I haven't got that constant noise in my brain.
And we hear that a lot. Patients who their whole kind of day-to-day life is, revolving around that food noise or the next thing they're going to eat. And it can be exhausting for patients, to battle against that constantly and really gives people an opportunity to genuinely lose like a lot of weight.
Yeah.
But obviously in a safe way.
It's mad. Isn't it mad how this is helping people? I just think it's amazing because I would say that from my own experience, most of the battle with weight loss is in your head.
Mm-hmm.
We all know what to eat, really, don't we? We all know calorie deficit, but it's that other side of it. And I think especially if you've got things like PCOS, which I have, I also have fibromyalgia, which causes to be tired and it's easy to grab things and crave sugar. But then not craving sugar is unreal. Like I say, having fibro and feeling exhaustion quite a lot, which I do try to ignore. I've got 3 kids, so I don't have much time for it. But then when they're in bed, like just eating all the sugar, just, I don't know, to what I felt like stay alive. Like, I know it sounds mad.
It's so true. And, we have a lot of patients who struggle with PCOS, fibromyalgia. And, it seems like these patients do have to fight a harder battle a lot of the time for weight loss because, again, sort of physiologically, their body is, they are putting on more weight than others because of the background conditions they have.
Yeah.
Would you find that it's helped some of the symptoms at all for those? Or have you had any other benefits, would you say?
No, I would say not so much with the fibro because I don't suffer that much. I don't allow it. I don't suffer that much with it anymore. It's just sort of the odd day, a few times a month, if you like. I mean, my symptoms of fibromyalgia 100%, like 1,000,000% reduced when I lost the 8.5 stone. So I feel
that would be a big part of it as well,
So I feel like although it's still there lingering in the background, it's not what it was then. So I would definitely say that diet and nutrition helped with me with fibromyalgia, but not this time around, if you know what I mean, because I've already done it. what else have I noticed? Just so many things. The sugar cravings, binge eating has been something that I have done a lot in my life. I've not binge ate for like 20 weeks now, which is, thanks, little medal, can have a chocolate. But that's very liberating.
Yeah.
Very, very liberating.
Because there's a genuine, binge eating disorder, which I think is underdiagnosed in a lot of people. And it's not just, you go into the fridge and, just helping yourself to lots of things because you want to. It's genuine kind of...
It's a compulsion.
It's a compulsion to do it. And I think,
Yeah.
again, that there is some evidence that people are definitely having reduction in binge eating, cravings, sugar cravings, as you talked about. But yeah, and benefits, as you talked about, losing weight, you're going to help your joints. There's so many medical benefits alongside the obvious aesthetic benefits people want to look better.
And when I was bigger and I was 21 stone or whatever it was that I was, I would be in complete and utter denial that any pain in my knee, or for a long time in my knee, my back, I was like 23 years old going to the doctor with a bad back or a bad knee. Like, how silly was I to be, well, not silly, but I was in denial that it was to do with my weight because I didn't want to admit it to myself that that's what I'd done to myself. Really unknowingly done to myself, I suppose. I don't beat myself up about it anymore. But yes, what a stress on the body to be carrying like literally a whole extra person around on your back all day.
But again, it's difficult to have those conversations with patients sometimes,
Well, you don't want to offend anyone, I'm sure.
And it's really about, medically, it's important to discuss it, but patients need to kind of have a self-awareness of it as well. And, have that motivation to start, with all the will in the world, a doctor and sort of medical people can explain. But as you said, it has to be motivation from the patient too.
Yeah, definitely. You have to be ready, I feel.
And that's why sometimes, I think social media can be a positive thing for a lot of patients too, considering treatment. They get lots of good stories about, how well people have done on it, but also, lots of information out there. Obviously, it's important to filter out, some of the misinformation.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of patients who've come through and they've seen, TikTok posts or social media. It does make our job a little bit easier because we're not starting from a complete fresh for a lot of these patients. They're aware of, the importance to increase their protein and have lots of fluids and dietary changes they need to do alongside it.
Yeah, because you need to do that for kind of ever now, right? Once you at your weight, that's what I'm saying about the hard part is maintaining it, because you have to be consciously aware to not let it creep back on forever. Really, it's hard.
And it is mentally probably quite an undertaking to think this has to be a lifelong change.
Yeah.
But for us, we want people to make small sustainable changes. If you can take the stairs instead of getting the elevator, you can just reduce those calories a little bit throughout the day, make better choices with snacking, you can maintain that long term.
Better habits that you're going to then carry forward. It's quite a long time. Do you know what I mean? It's like going to be a good 6 months. I mean, I'm 5 months in nearly at this point. I'm not where I want to be yet, and I'm going to continue it, but it's just giving my brain more time to understand that this is my life now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely agree. And we've been through that journey together. We've had our consultations and we've talked about, goals. And
quite weird to see you in real life, Chris, not going to lie.
Behind a screen for a change, but and that's what we want to help, in terms of small sustainable changes, but also educating people like, this is a long-term treatment. Which doesn't, have to be taken for many years, but it's not a quick fix for people.
And I think it's really important to talk about that, actually, because I think a lot of people see it as a quick fix. It's not, I've got 6 weeks, I'm going on holiday with the girls, I want to quickly lose a stone. It's an obesity medication, right? Yeah. Only for people who BMI is over 30, that's right?
Or 27 with certain weight-related conditions, but
Do you find many people with 27 with weight-related conditions?
Yeah, we do.
Do you?
Yeah, we do find quite a lot.
I'm interested.
There's quite a lot of associations, high blood pressure, cholesterol. We've added PCOS and some certain mental health conditions.
I feel like PCOS is so underdealt with. I don't know what the word is.
Yeah.
I feel like women's health and particularly PCOS, is just discarded. My daughter has got kind of crazy levels of hormones to do with her PCOS, and she's just been left. She's just been left.
And unfortunately, sometimes it's one, difficult to diagnose, and once it's underdiagnosed. And even if you do get a diagnosis, then you're left with a kind of self-help management in terms of diet and exercise, etc., to try and help. But oftentimes people really struggle, and it can be a bit maybe isolating to be left with that condition and that diagnosis without kind of involvement from a lot of specialists, or having to manage it yourself. So we've kind of seen that really, and we appreciate that patients do struggle.
Because of the whole, correct me if I'm wrong. So my understanding of PCOS is that alongside PCOS, it's quite likely you're going to have insulin resistance.
Yeah.
And the damage of insulin resistance on your body it can be quite bad, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I wrote a blog on PCOS and the kind of weight challenges faced. I did quite a lot of research in terms of the background and the sort of physiological changes. But as you said, insulin resistance means people have to produce more insulin, and then, then they start to deposit a lot of that as fat.
Maybe the NHS should think about that as well for people with PCOS.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, we've seen that as a definite positive, and we wouldn't be starting it until we've had a detailed conversation with a person to make sure that they're in the right frame of mind to start treatment. They know what the treatment involves.
So that's what I love about Dr.Online. It's like a holistic service. Do you know what I mean? If you can't help someone with this way, you can help them that way. If if they're not suitable with medication, you can help them this way. And I think it's so important, especially in the current climate of not really being able to get a doctor appointment, right? I can't ever.
You're on the 8 a.m.
8 a.m., 8 a.m., 8 a.m. And then I forget, then I've got to get the kids ready for school. 8 a.m. is a silly time, actually.
But, we can always guide you through it, as we've done in your appointments, to help.
But I feel so safe that if something happens, I could just drop you an email. And I think it's amazing. I love a bit Dr.Online.
We're happy to have you. And I think, that's the thing about what we're trying to offer, really, safe service for everybody. There is an option to kind of not have a video consultation every month if you're managing okay, or you've got, something else that you need to be doing and you're very stable in treatment. But we're always there as a sort of, backup. Can I ask you for a massive favor? If you've enjoyed the content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. This really helps spread the word and educate people who might be looking at starting a weight loss journey. And in terms of, once you hit your goal weight, do you have any kind of, things that you wanted to do in the longer term in terms of maintaining your goal weight? Or did you have any kind of worries or anxieties?
Not really. I don't know what, this time it feels different because I'm not obsessing over the weight loss, if you like. I don't know. I just know I'm not going back. I'm not doing this again.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this again. I've done it a few times, obviously, the 8.5 stone, the baby weight. I'm not doing it again.
And that must be quite difficult kind of mentally for you to have lost so much weight and then for it to go back. Did you find that kind of took its toll on you? Or
100%. I would say that putting on 3/4 stone, depends how I feel and how I want to admit to myself. Putting on 3/4 stone, I felt worse about myself at that 16 odd stone than I did when I was 21 stone.
Yeah.
Because I'd never experienced, and it's not about being skinny at all whatsoever. That's never been a goal for me in my life, ever. There's that stupid saying nothing tastes as good as skinny feels. It's not that, but you feel healthier. You are more confident in yourself. You look in the mirror and you like a bit better what you see. And I don't think who's going to look in the mirror and go, yeah, great, apart from Joey from Friends. But do you know what I mean? It's
I completely agree. Yeah, it changes your whole mindset, doesn't it? In terms
everything, and so to have gone back then, so been maintained that sort of being able to get clothes in normal shops and not hate my reflection when I see it in a shop window and stuff, to then go back up to the 16 stone mark. Oh my God, I felt worse about myself. So yeah, I don't want to be there again, not doing it again.
And do you think that's motivation enough to sort of persist along the journey that you've done and maintain the habits that you've kept?
Any advice if you're going on a weight loss journey, having been on a couple myself before, you don't actually know how you're going to feel at that goal weight.
Yeah,
And you
exactly.
might then go, oh no, actually, I prefer it if I'm a couple of pounds heavier or lighter or whatever. Yeah, I just think that when you feel comfortable is the best
I
goal weight
agree.
you can
And
have.
we can move it around, in terms of the numbers, or we don't even put a number and we just say people want to feel better in themselves, they want to feel more confident, or we can always, work out what a normal BMI would be and give them
Mm,
a target weight, for health reasons. Obviously, if we can get in a normal BMI,
yeah.
then people are going to have much less weight related complications in the long term, and that's going to for medical
Mm.
benefits, that's what we're going to want as well, alongside the sort of aesthetic benefits.
I don't think I've ever, even losing 8.5 stone, been a healthy weight in the BMI chart, even after losing 8.5 stone. That was crazy to me.
Again, people's body composition means that some people do have more muscle, or if we're not forcing people to get into a normal BMI. I think it's, as you said, it's really making people feel confident, making them happier in themselves, and then the obvious kind of medical benefits alongside it. But yeah, it's quite a journey, isn't it, in terms of getting there? And
It
you've done
is.
amazing. You've done really well.
Thanks. I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad I didn't continue on that path that I was on like years ago. And yeah, I'm so glad because I probably might not be here if I'd have carried on like that at the age of like 21, 23, and carried on the weight going on the way it was.
And it must be, potentially quite hard to look back at that time and see how you were struggling against it. And as you said, maybe not identifying it at the time, or
Ignoring it.
ignoring it.
Mental, and also sort of my mental health, probably if I look at pictures of me in my life, probably I could tell where I was in my head
Yeah.
at that point as well. It's an emotional thing as well, I think. And I think it's so hard for people who haven't battled with their weight to even understand all of this stuff that goes
Yeah,
on.
I
Like,
agree. I think that's a massive point.
yeah,
There's all this misinformation about calories in and calories out, and how, it's a very simple method to lose the weight, and it's a kind of a
yeah,
add versus subtract method, but it's not.
it's
There's
not.
so much more to it than that. And as you said, if you haven't battled with it yourself, then it can be really difficult to have that kind of empathy for people who are. And thanks so much for coming to see us today, Joe. Really appreciate,
Oh,
especially for the
pleasure.
listeners as well, to get a bit of an insight into
Pleasure.
how it is to be on a weight loss journey, and all the anxieties that you had and the reasons that you started. So really appreciate it.